Out of interest, who of you watching has ever looked at Monster Hunter stories and gone, how about we turn it into an action RPG? Well, funnily enough, Volzerk has done exactly that. I won't deny, the game is a little bit janky. It needs a fair amount of work. It is not perfect, let's put it that way. But for what it is a very charming little, I don't know, creation, shall we say? So essentially, the gameplay, fairly simple, rudimentary. You've got basic attacks, you've got little weird companion dudes that do things eventually. You've got character switching, and yes, I know Genshin Impact is not the first game to ever have character switching, but it is the one that I recognize it the most from. You have some good old-fashioned monster hunting. Now, I've just realized I'm actually on probably the worst map for this because I'm kind of underleveled for pretty much everything that's going on. But the game has a very simple gameplay loop. So the gameplay doesn't get too much more involved than what you're currently seeing. Obviously, you can switch between people. There's also special moves, but I'm currently using controller, so I don't actually know what the button is for it. Okay, after like a minute of trying to figure out what it was, it turns out it's LB plus any of the face buttons. Yeah, so I play this game on PC pretty much exclusively and on mouse and keyboard. But for the sake of not having my clickety-clacking keyboard in the background the entire time, I decided I'd try out controller. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised by the controller controls, ironically enough. They actually feel fairly smooth. I think it does recommend that you do use controller as part of the gameplay, and I can, you know, I can see why. So yeah, in terms of the gameplay, it's fairly standard, like, ARPG affair. I do wish the combat was like a little bit more nuanced, because you've got the special abilities, you've got a charge attack, which every weapon type has a unique version of. So this is the spear users, which, looking at it, seems insanely good. And you got the parry system with the bigger boys. So the gameplay is fairly standard from what you can tell. You enter these sort of big, expansive areas, which admittedly aren't that unique. And then you go around beating up small monsters, like these ones. They'll drop gold and stuff, I believe. You can also collect them. They'll drop just general resources. Yeah, so as you can see here, you can activate your little mini monsters with the left and right triggers. So they do actually have their own uses. Characters can have their own elements. For instance, these two are both water. Oh my good lord. I've been found by Beast. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit underleveled for this just in general. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to return to base. So I was going to show off a dungeon, and then I realized that if you want to go into dungeons, it costs you expedition points, and I've not grinded for any recently. So the nice thing is that expedition points you get just from doing just this, you know, the main gameplay loop of kill stuff, take their loot, and move on. Right, let's get into the main sort of reason we're here. So the main like attraction, other than sort of Dynasty Warriors style, kill everything in one hit and just enjoy the pure satisfaction of fairly brainless combat, are these little sods, which I believe are just called monsters or monmu. Basically, you kill them, and then you have a pairing chance. You press the button, if I can remember which one it is, there we go. And then you have a chance for it to pair, which is essentially like capturing a Pokemon. And then you get stats. These are hearts, which basically you have to unlock for like passive bonuses. And if it's terrible, like this one, of which it is, you can just sell it for some money. So that is pretty much the entire gameplay loop, is just going around killing stuff and trying to unlock cooler and cooler monsters. So as you can see, the one I've just killed is one that she's currently riding. Fairly basic. And then we've got this cool rhinoceros beetle, which is a lot cooler. And then this red boy, who I can't remember the name of. So in terms of the gameplay, it's fairly simple, but I can't deny I'm kind of like really enjoying it. I think I could just be enjoying the fact that it is both new, and I just really enjoy losing myself in a fun sort of grinding, farming gameplay loop. And this game is pretty much just grinding and farming. And obviously if that's not your thing, then you're not going to find any interest in this one, which is, you know, fair enough. It's not going to be to everyone's taste. I won't deny, it is very obvious that the game is a bit of a work in progress. It is not in a great state. I think it came out in January. But in January, it only had, I believe it was only Japanese voice options. So you just couldn't read it in any other language other than Japanese. And then in the last like week, I think it was the end of February. Any good, Drago? No, you were also trash. I'm gonna sell you for gold. Yeah, and then at the end of February they released a English patch, so you can actually play the game in another language other than Japanese. So for any English speakers, or at the very least readers out there, you can now try the game out. I can't remember if there are any other languages available. Let's have a quick check. Language. No, it's just Japanese and English at the minute. Hopefully they can do something about that. But yeah, the game is like very simple to, you know, play and enjoy. But if you find yourself sort of getting lost in the loop, you can have like a couple of really fun evenings just, you know, beating some stuff up, collecting some gear, and just having a good time. The game's not particularly serious. I could show the story, but to be honest, I've skipped the story every single time it's come up, because to be frank, the story is, it's just generic fantasy, uninteresting story. You are the chosen child and are the ones destined to, I don't know, save the world or make monsters friends with the world or something. No one cares, or at the very least I don't. In terms of options, the gameplay is pretty much just boils down to, we've got main episodes, which is, you know, it's just the story. You need to clear them for like milestones. Like, I can't remember, you don't have access to a certain part of the game until you clear episode 1, and then you have access to extra stuff. You've also got character quests, which is just like the game that reminds me the most is Pokemon Masters, where if you have a character, you can go through their character quest. It's pretty much that. You spend time with a character, you learn more about them. Again, you can just skip through it. So if you just want the gameplay and the rewards, you can, because that's all I'm doing, because it's all I'm really interested in. So you can go on expeditions. Expeditions, it's kind of like changing a map layout. It's not randomly generated, at least these sort of main locations aren't. I'm not sure about the dungeons. I think the dungeons might be procedurally generated. But obviously you can find different items and stuff in dungeons and whatnot. Different monsters. I think the game has about 400 and something odd monsters, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Then the main gimmick is crossbreeding and sort of breeding in general. There's also this training system, which is kind of weird and kind of hard to explain. But basically, you put monsters that aren't maxed out in here, and then they get stronger, and then their stats gain. But that's all it really does, and I don't think you can, like, lose out on the stats, if I'm not mistaken. It's not explained particularly well. Either that, or I'm not reading it very well. So this is the heart system. Let's pick someone that is kind of cool. You look awesome. Let's have a look at you. So we initiate the character, and ideally you want as many S's as possible because that is the best possible rank for a heart. So here you can select a character initiation. So depending on which character you choose, they have different like heart options that they can have. So for this person, they destroy a weak spot. If they perfect dodge or when switching, their crit rate goes up. For this person, it's, you know, on down, skill hits, crit rate, attack, defense. And what about this person? Just straight stats. No real nuance to it. But you don't have to, you know, fulfill any of these requirements. So it's just a straight passive. We'll just go with this one. So it's completely random on who you get. It does cost you. So you'll get one of the ones that they have advertised for them. Initiation complete. Crit rate +8. So which one did I get? Successful perfect dodge. Get crit rate +8. So that's fairly simple. And I imagine can get quite expensive. There's also Awakening, which I've not done a lot of, where basically if you crossbreed and your like hearts are terrible, you basically re-roll, or you try and get one of the previous generations of monsters' heart. Then we have the main system that I think is probably the main reason most people are here. It's the main reason I'm here, where you get to combine two monsters and they create a brand new one. So let's crossbreed and find out. So it will either make a normal monster or it'll make a fire type monster. Admittedly, their stats are terrible, but I'm not going to go through all of the monsters just to demonstrate a crossbreed. So here we have an egg. Okay, that's cool. I'll give him that. That's cool. Hey, it's a fruit star. So this is a Flame Man bar. They're known for their high physical defense. AABDB. That's not bad. I mean, there's definitely worse. So it does track how many generations there are. I would suspect that the more generations you go down, the more likely it is to be worse. I'm guessing there's like crossbreed degeneration, but I don't know as it stands. The game hasn't really mentioned this yet. That might just be because I'm fairly early on. But yeah, that's pretty much, you know, the main gimmick of the game is that crossbreeding is the main mechanic. You go out, you hunt monsters, you collect them, and then you breed them. And then you make new ones. You can also crossbreed with friends, which I've not tried because I don't know anyone who has heard of this game, let alone are playing it. So you can edit your title, your name. This is honestly just kind of, you know, stuff for you, I guess. Your party is just, you know, your party setup. So, for instance, you can swap out this bad boy because he's technically stronger. You can swap out characters. I'll talk about characters in a moment. There's also equipment, which is cool. So, for instance, you swap it out. So, I think before it's a wooden axe. Yep, wooden axe. And now it is a metal axe. So, yeah, it's a fairly standard, you know, equipment affair. You've also got accessories, which I don't have any currently. You've also got the mini-mons, which, you know, they all have their own unique abilities, which we've already seen. You can also auto-sep if you're lazy, which is something I do. So you can upgrade and level up characters, but it requires these weird gems, which you get pretty much just by grinding. You can also enhance the mini-mons. And then, by the looks of things, there is the... Well, I mean, of course it's going to be crafting. There's crafting elements. I just haven't unlocked it yet. So scouting. Scouting is a little bit dodgy. So the 2-star characters all cost gold, which is fine. Gold is very easy to get. You just sell some monsters and you have them. These are all very easy to acquire. They are all different weapon types, sort of. They're all different weapon types in a different element. So for instance, you've got a normal axe user, even though the game already gives you one. You've also got a fire staff user, a fire spear user, you know, grass, sword, you know. Basically, it gives you one of every element, each with a unique weapon type. The weapon type is what the animations are. So regardless of whether you have a 4-star or a 2-star, the animations are the same, which is a little Little bit lazy, but that's just my opinion. So in the 3-star category, we do have a couple of characters that take gold, which is good. I'm glad they do have some. Unfortunately, the rest are paid. In terms of character design, I can't say I dislike anyone. I actually quite like the character design in the game. And then we get 4 stars, and they're all £8. So, you know, the characters, again, all look pretty cool. They all have their own unique skills and stuff. For instance, this person has aerial dive as opposed to, I don't know, this person, which has flame aura blade. So they all have their own unique sort of stats and statistics. And the one nice thing about the game is that you can actually get a 4-star for free. So I chose this lady based on her Omega Drive, which is an ult. It looks insane. I don't think I've ever used it because I kill stuff too quickly. But that's just me. You look like you should be a Demon Slave, and that's just my opinion. So yeah, scouting is a little bit on the dodgy side. If for some reason you find yourself absolutely adoring the game, there's also these package bundles where it's slightly cheaper, but not really. I think you also unlock a quest as well, which is nice. In terms of the microtransactions, a little bit pricey, but on the upside, if you want a character, you buy the character and that's it. There's no real gotcha to it. The gotcha is the monster hunting, which you can't really do anything about. So we got the Monsterpedia. So supposedly there's 470 monsters, but as you can see, what they really mean is there's like 100 or so, but we've recolored a few. And by a few, I mean a lot. So for instance, we've got this guy. So you got a Kuon, and then you got a Flame Kuon. So when you come across like a unique monster, it's really cool, or a monster type you've not seen before, it's nice. But you know, you do kind of have to be prepared for sort of recoloring or retexturizing, shall we say. Same with the Minimons. There's like, see, look, there's like 12 of these. So you got the regular, the fire, the wind. So yeah, they do bit cheekily do say we have like 470 monsters, but you know, a fair chunk of them are actually recolors, palette swaps, so it's not as interesting. There is a friend system for crossbreeding, but that's all it's used for because the game does not have co-op for some reason, when I feel like this would be like such an easy game to play in co-op with others, but that's just me. I hate to say it, but Genshin also does the same thing where, you know, you rank up and stuff and you get these. And I'm not too sure what ranking up really gives you. I think it's just small bonuses, yeah. And there's a fair few ranks. You're going to be there a while. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the gameplay systems more or less shown off. I guess I could quickly show off maybe a main quest. Actually, this is pretty much the exact structure of a dungeon, so I may not need to demonstrate a dungeon. But dungeon is basically an expedition like this, where, you know, I'm pretty sure it's procedurally generated, it's fairly linear, it has multiple floors, and in it you'll find different, you know, items and monsters, and it's like a little bit random each time. But yeah, the game definitely has its fair share of jank, and it can't really be avoided. I think it definitely needs like a lot more, what's the word? It needs a lot more sort of TLC to really become anything massive. Do I think it'll get the TLC? Honestly, I'm not too sure it will. I hope it does. They recently released, I think, episode 10. But I think the game has some really sort of fun ideas and interesting sort of mechanics. I'm just worried that the game will just sort of drop dead and then never get updated, like a lot of sort of anime style, I can say MMOs, even though this game has no real MMO nature to it. So obviously you don't win the pairing every time, because, you know, what would be the point of pairing if you won every time? But yeah, the game needs a fair bit of work. But on the upside, you can play it on mobile. So if you really enjoy the game, or maybe you just, you know, want to log in like for half an hour on a lunch break or something, or, you know, you're waiting for, I don't know, you're waiting for a mate at a bus stop, go have a quick expedition, get some monsters, breed them. I don't like how often I have to say the word breed in this bloody game, but you know, there's not much I can do about that. That is what it's called, unfortunately. But yeah, it's not a game you have to sink a ton of time. Oh, okay, rude. Yeah, it's not a game you have to dedicate like a lot of time or effort to. You can just play it like as casually as you like, and that's kind of what I'm enjoying about it. Is that if, like, say it's late at night, I'm thinking of going to bed soon, but I want to just, you know, play something to wind down that doesn't require me to, you know, use my brain at all. You know, it's casual. You don't have to stress about anything. You play at your own pace, and it's really enjoyable for the most part. I would really appreciate if they could like fix some of the jank. I'd also really like if they could create a sprint, because there is no sprint. I would just like to demonstrate that the movement speed you have been seeing is the fastest movement speed the game currently allows, and I really wish they would change it. So yeah, the game is far from perfect, and I can suspect a lot of people seeing it and going, this just isn't for me, and I get it. To be honest, I sort of considered not making the video just because I know how the game like comes across compared to, you know, a game that I do play every day for my sins, Genshin Impact. In terms of polish, one game is polished so exceptionally well you can see your own reflection in it, and this might as well be a piece of tinfoil that's been, I don't know, coated in chocolate. I'm not really sure where the analogy's gone here. So yeah, the game definitely needs a lot of sort of tender loving care. But if you find yourself enjoying the weirdness of it, and, you know, just wanting to waste some time on it, because, you know, you don't have to spend a penny. I've not, and I doubt I ever will. But I'm enjoying the gameplay loop. If you're a fan of just, you know, getting lost in the grind every now and again while you know, are looking for that next big sort of MMO title. Like, I'm currently using this as a stopgap for a game that comes out in May that I'm quite looking forward to. That'll probably be like my main focus for a little while. But while you're waiting for that, the game does what it does, and it does it fairly well, I'd say. It's not perfect, it's not exceptional, but I can't deny I'm having a fun time with it. And I hope you do too. And if not, that is also okay, because it is very obvious this is not a game for everyone. And you know what? I respect that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to finish killing this thing. I imagine I'm going to pair it because it's part of an episode. And then I think I'll be done for the day. But yeah, I thought it was such a novel sort of idea that even if this game doesn't explode, it'd be really cool to see this sort of idea of combining creatures to make new ones more frequently. Because, you know, people love Pokemon, people love Monster Hunter, and people really like Monster Hunter stories. But obviously Monster Hunter Stories combat is very different. It is basically just rock, paper, scissors. And don't get me wrong, Monster Hunter Stories is great, but sometimes you want a bit of action with your gameplay. And this is what the game provides. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Volzerk. It's a weird little game. I don't personally see it blowing up, but for the most part, I see it being a fun little jaunt for a lot of people. At least I know it is for me at the minute. Like, I'm not going to spend 100 hours on the game, I don't think. But for now, I'm just enjoying how casual the sort of grinding and farming aspect of it is. And if that's something you enjoy with your games, maybe give the game a try. It couldn't hurt. It's not like you have to spend any money anyway. Plus, with the free 4-star, you can't really complain. And if you don't like the character, just make a new account. But anyway, thank you for those that stuck around until the end. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. And until next time, I've been James, the Mayor of Jamestown. Goodbye.